My name is DJ, and welcome to my channel. If you want to just skip to the painting process, no judgment here, you can use the chapters to navigate to that part if you would like. However, I would like for you to hear a very brief history on how I got here, and some crucial information on how I am the way I am, and how I'll tackle this channel. I am high-functioning autistic. While that on its own, with sufficient severity, could be the reason I am disabled, it's not. Thanks to traumatic events in my life, which reacted like sodium in water with my autism, I have bipolar II disorder and severe anxiety, both general and social, with extra emphasis regarding authority. Now, I grew up in the 90s, and when it came to children like me, they like to label us with all sorts of disorders. I've been labeled ADD, ADHD, hyperactive, retarded. Can you still believe that was a real diagnosis? And more big words that ultimately didn't stick around long enough to really matter. All these have since been absorbed into the autism diagnosis. I tell you this not for sympathy, but for transparency. Although I can tell you right here and now I don't plan on quitting on this channel, my disorders lend themselves to some pretty harsh mood swings, even with copious amounts of medication. My bipolar II disorder specializes in manic depression, which can last upwards of a couple months. All that to say, I've had some trouble keeping a schedule. I'm not new to making videos. The reason why I barely ever upload the videos is I wanted to have a more cohesive channel. My videos are all different genres. I have fully edited videos ranging from gaming, art, travel vlogging, media analysis, and a crap ton of camping and outdoor content. The most recent genre being filming my new 15-month-old Stafford, who's being trained to be my service dog. I mean, look at her. Isn't she just the cutest thing in the world? Look at her trying to hunt the flies. And this is her first swim. And this is her in her cute, oversized service dog sweater. What a cootie patootie. Where was I? Yes, I'm pretty sure Google themselves, let alone myself, don't know how the almighty algorithm, praise be, works. But I do know that having a channel with themes that are all over the place wouldn't work, no matter how much that reflects my actual reality. However, even with the fickle mistress that is the algorithm, praise be, content creation is what I want to do. But my autism and stupidly persistent decision paralysis have made that incredibly difficult. I've spent my entire life switching hobbies quite frequently, and thus possible channel topics. I know that all this switching from idea to idea is a manifestation of my anxiety. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I won't be able to follow through. I'm afraid no one will see this. I'm afraid everyone will see this. I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid to succeed. Wow. I apologize. This is probably not the place for harsh self-realization. Over 15 years ago, I had a hobby that I fell in love with, but ultimately went by the wayside when I lost access to it. I fell in love with tabletop gaming, not only for the strategic gameplay, but I became infatuated with the painting of the miniatures, the diorama work of the bases. I played a game called War Machine, and after 2 or so years, the game was not really being played anywhere close to me at the time. So I stopped buying the minis and put away all the hobby equipment. That is, until today, my friends. I've decided to go all in and devote myself to getting as good as my small amount of talent will let me get at a game played all over the world. I'm starting an army to play Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
For those who don't know, Age of Sigmar, or AOS, is the grim dark fantasy world developed by the same people who run the very well-known Warhammer 40k universe, which is based in a grim dark sci-fi world. But this is not a lore channel, thank God. Well, I do like playing the game and forcing myself to get out of my comfort zone and engage in these social situations. I do enjoy painting the miniatures a whole lot more, so that's mostly what's going to be happening here. For this channel, I pledge to put out at least 2 videos a month. I'm hoping that committing to bi-weekly uploads will help me deal with the mood swings and thus keeping a schedule more doable. If this seems even mildly entertaining, please subscribe, as it is free for you and is a huge help for me, keeping me accountable because I wouldn't want to let you guys down. With all that, we finally get into this video, where you will see the very first mini I ever painted close to 18 years ago. God, I'm old. You'll also see the last mini I painted almost 15 years ago, as well as the favorite mini I have ever painted, at least for now. We'll look at those as you watch me try to remember the knowledge I learned all those years ago with some gained through osmosis, but never practiced by watching YouTube. It should also be mentioned that I have not bought any new equipment or materials for this video. They are all 15 plus years old, so I'm going to be trying my best. While criticism is appreciated and encouraged, I ask that you keep it constructive, or at the very least, while you're telling me that I paint like a blind man, be decent enough to give me reasons why you don't like the disabled man's hardest attempt at something he hasn't done in over a decade. I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt, too sexy, yeah. Okay, so we'll be painting an old Warcaster model, the Butcher of Kadarv. I don't know anything about him, or if he's even still playable, or if I pronounced that city right. Let's just call him Bob. I chose Bob because he looks cool, and I only have one, so he's unique. Also, he's big, so I can plainly see what and where everything is. Finally, he is in an open pose, so there's no arm or axe crossing his chest, making it harder to paint the chest piece. Before we paint, we need to test all of my paints to see which, if any, are still usable. I'm not expecting any of them to be in good condition. They're all over a decade old at this point. All my miniature paints were bought locally at a relatively well-respected store in the hobby called Reaper, whose primary headquarters are down the street. Alright, so my color inspiration is coming from the military uniforms of the Amestris military from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I really enjoy the blue and the black together, and since the Kadorian army, which this guy's a part of in War Machine, is traditionally red, I thought it'd be really cool to go completely opposite with it. Luckily, 20-year-old me already cleaned, primed, and glued Bob to the base, so naturally, I began repriming him black with some black gesso I found in my oil paint container. Now here is where things get spicy. I'm going for the trifecta of trying things I've never tried before. You know, after not painting for 15 years. Why am I doing this to myself? Let's hope this bet pays off. The 3 techniques are: number 1, the zenithal highlight will be applied using dry brushing. That's the new thing, is the dry brushing, instead of spray cans or an airbrush. Why? I do not have spray primer, and I do not have an airbrush, and as stated earlier, I am not buying anything new for this project. You'll come to find that I can be frustratingly stubborn and incredibly cheap. Number 2, undershadowing. More on that later. Number 3, I'm going to attempt freehanding one of these symbols somewhere on his armor. I've never done this before on Mini, and I'm excited to try it. When done right, freehanding can look amazing, but when done wrong, well, let's just hope we won't experience that today. I'm hitting all the things I want to learn here so that we can compare future projects to Bob. Now, I'm writing this in real time as you're seeing it, meaning I haven't painted him yet, so I have no idea what he'll look like. I'm a little scared, to be honest, but F it. YOLO! Listen, at worst, the next Mini will be better by default, right? Right?
Painting.
Here's where I have to make myself clear. I have not done this in over a decade. All the following advice is based solely on what little YouTube I recall, 18-year-old college classes, and years of 2D art. The knowledge of which I feel can be applied here as I think of model painting as just 3D coloring in some ways. Also, I must come clean with y'all. I did buy something for this video. This distilled water for $1.23. F***ing inflation. There is a reason. Unless you use distilled water, which is a process of getting rid of 100% of the contaminants, leaving only H2 and O, the microscopic bacteria in regular tap water and even in purified water will interact and start growing, and the minerals will start to smell. With that out of the way, here I am doing the undershadow in Imperial Purple, and I'll be doing the zenithal highlight in a linen white, which is white with a little bit of yellow in it. You color theorists out there may have noticed that purple and yellow are complementary colors. This should make the shadows and highlights pop a little more. Also noticed how with the undershadow I'm moving my brush up the model, and when I start to do the highlights, I move my brush down the model. This helps me keep the colors on the underside or top of the various parts of the model that I am painting. I'm doing the shadows before the highlights because it allows me to correct mistakes easier down the line. You can always add darker tones, but the reverse isn't so easy. Also, doing this will inform me on where the best places to highlight are. They say that you can dry brush shadows and highlights instead of doing a spray can or airbrush. I guess you can be the judge of that if they're right or if they're just trying to include us plebes that don't have fancy things. If you're unsure, a zenithal highlight is a method of pre-highlighting where you usually spray the color down on the model from wherever the source of light is coming from. It's a fast and easy way to determine where to highlight, as the spray acts as the light particles that only hit the model where it would be illuminated in real life. And dry brushing is when you wipe and dab most of your paint off the brush and lightly go over where you want the paint to be. This can be used to straight up highlight or shadow, or to weather certain areas like vehicle panels, armor, or give hair or fur more depth. I will say that doing it this way is a double-edged sword. It's good because you as the painter get ultimate control on where you want your shadow and highlights to be. It's more difficult because you have to think, and no one wants to do that. but you have to think about where you're placing them. You can't just spray up from underneath or spray top down like you would with spray cans or airbrushes, leaving you paint wherever the shadow and highlights are. I can't be lazy with this dry brushing. It'll lead to a worse paint job in the end. It's the intermission! Can you name this movie in the comments from just this sound alone?
Edward, what the hell happened?
Hesitated.
May I ask why you felt little Tiffany deserved to die?
Well, she was the only one that actually seemed dangerous at the time, sir.
How'd you come to that conclusion?
Excelente suposición. Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out if you're right. Alright, so this is live DJ here. I may have messed up a little bit. The highlight, all this dry brushing here was supposed to be done in linen white, which is this one way over here. As you can see, it's just a little off white. That's what it was supposed to be. I did it in pure white on accident, so it is just straight up white and straight and purple. It's not the end of the world. I'm just not going to get the little bit of contrast that I was wanting. But yeah, I accidentally did it in bright pure white instead of linen white. I just wanted to let you guys know that. Now for the fun part. I'll be base coating the armor blue and the pants and boots black. But first, if you're wondering what I listen to while I'm painting, here's a small sample, courtesy of me unplugging the headphones. Oh no! No, they're not. It's a genre called future garage or deep future garage. It really helps me focus. The rhythm helps keep me moving forward, and the drowning nature relaxes me. Honestly, after a point, I don't even hear it anymore, and that is when I'm locked in. I am really worried about this brush. These brushes are all old. The issue is, what happens is with old brushes, they tend to split down the middle, just from age and stuff. I wasn't storing them properly at all. This is how they were all stored. I don't know if you can see it against my finger, but it splits, and so when it gets wet, it'll have 2 points on it. Here we go. First paint. So I've already made a mistake that will come back to bite me later. I used super old gesso to prime him. The gesso was kind of thick and it obscured some of the small details that I didn't notice until the end. On that note, let's talk about the paint. Most of them are okay. The pigment is still good and they coat well enough. The consistency was where the main issue lied. It was either their age or that I'm just out of practice on making layers, glazes, and washes. The metallics were really bad, and they really bring the paint job down in the end, in my opinion. As I'm painting, let's take a look at Minnie's past. We'll start with the first 2 I painted. We'll call them Jack and Diane, 2 American kids growing up in the heartland. Sorry, that was a pre-programmed response. So yeah, they were my first minis that I painted, and as you can see, there's no shading on Diane and very primitive shading done on Jack. This wolf is the last mini I painted 10 plus years ago, and as you can tell, I got better at blending. I feel colored flames in most cases look better than the normal ones do, and even though he's chipped on his nose and his front paw, he's still a good boy. Alright, live DJ again. I had to charge my phone, which is my camera, so done everything on the armor except for edge highlights. I painted everything that's going to be metallic in black, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to do the edge highlight linen white that I forgot to put on the highlight, so hopefully that'll give a good contrast between the shadows and those edge highlights. Oh, I also did a lot of the blacks while I was gone too. They were really easy since I undershaded in purple, so I just washed it in black a couple times until it read black. We're gonna get on to the face and the fur, and then the metallics, and then we'll be done. Oh, and the blunderbuss in the back here. I keep forgetting about that. This, dear viewer, is a juggernaut, and he is my favorite at the moment. I love the weathering effect, as this faction that he's in is based on the Siberian tundras in Russia, so I did like a frosted over look, and you can kind of see the color underneath the oh, it's so good. I really like it. And the ice on the axe was sculpted by me. It was the first time I ever sculpted anything with green stuff. My favorite part though is the base, the barbed wire on it. It's like he's stepping over onto the front line so he can charge the enemy. It's so cool, and it gives a lot of good scale to how big he is. I really love him all around. We'll call that a scratch. He scratched his armor. Oh no. Poor Bob. He was giving me an anxiety attack. It was just like this whole thing got all muddied up as soon as I put on the silver. Like that now looks horrible. It looks gross. But we gotta push through it. Maybe it'll look good in the end. Who knows? I don't think so, but maybe it will. Alright, with that trip down memory lane complete, let's talk about Bob. I feel he was looking real good right before I added the metallics and, the face. The face was the detail that the gesso lost due to its consistency, and the metallic paints were also so chunky and separated, they didn't cover very well at all. I should have bit the bullet and just tried the NMM. I also majorly messed up the freehand. I only used one brush for this entire paint job due to all the other brushes being messed up beyond repair. That one brush was big, so I wasn't able to get the precision needed for the decal that small. I said that I'd do it, so I did it. Poorly. Although after all that, he does look pretty good from a tabletop distance, and I know us creators are our own worst critics, so I give it to you, the internet, the second worst critics. How do you think I did? How does this compare to my older minis? Feel free to share tips and tricks down in the comments. It would not only help myself, but others wanting to learn as well. I hope we can grow a supportive community here where we can grow as painters, people, and gamers. Thank you all for watching from the bottom of my heart, especially those who didn't skip the channel intro. Y'all are a cut above. I'll shut up now so we can get to the good part. Jamona. The arsonist has oddly shaped feet, but once they're painted, I need to show them off. I need to show people how much better I am than they are at something. There's just a rush that comes from proving you're better than everybody. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Who deserves all the kisses? The Lilu does. What a good girl get a Lilu kisses. He does something weird with his voice. Like he presses down like right where the collarbones meet or something, and it like changes his voice. No, it just sounds like I'm being choked. That's all this.